Okay, I'm running those test files. The cut grid, it performed very similar to what the other, but I'm doing the hatch fill right now, and I'm trying to see how that thing works. Of course, it's got the slow speeds at the bottom and that kind of thing. The smoke in here, I can smell a little bit of smoke, but it doesn't, it's not burning my eyes or anything like that, and I can't see it in the room, but I can, just a slight tint. You can smell a slight tint outside, and this is the smokiest part of all this. So it's going to down beat the band, and so there we go. Right now it's 73% done, and it's run for 29 minutes on this one deal. I am hoping to refine a test cut to where it would be inside the boundaries of what my machine would do. So I'll take this thing and probably design a cut file that would have, the range that mine would be good at, and I'll probably use that for burning. But then again, you never know what material that you run it on. So it may burn entirely different on cedar or on some oak, or it may be totally different on a piece of leather. So we'll just have to see, and probably run this test on most of those fabrics just to see where I'm at. Alright, well, we're 96% done on this. It's about 47 minutes, and it's running this field pattern on this setup. And this is the kind of stuff that I want to try and alleviate, so I'm going to dial mine in a little closer. And there, that thing's going. This thing's been burning for 46 minutes. That's all working good. And there's a tinge of smell of smoke, but it's not terrible bad. It's not any worse than it was. And I'm definitely bending outside. So there you go with the switcheroo box. Got the air assist on and the vacuum on, and this thing just got through burning that, and I think I'm really high on my settings, but we'll find out. And that was 48 minutes and 57 seconds, 15,000 lines of code at 100% speed. So there we go. Well, after about 15 tests later, I'm starting to get an inkling of what my laser will cut and what it won't cut, and what it cuts too much of and what it don't cut enough of. Anyway, it's a whole lot different animal than that little 2-watt laser that I had. The 20-watt laser, it can pretty well destroy something if you're not careful. So definitely want to test that. The 2-watt laser, you just run it. It didn't really matter. It didn't have any real settings on it. You just burnt and engraved what you wanted to, and it wasn't going to cut anything. So kind of a neat thing. But the 20-watt is definitely got some differences in opinion about it, and those are all holes pretty much in there. And I hold it up to the light, it just keeps burning. So I'm actually having to tune it down. I went through the process to see what it would take to cut through a piece of wood, and then also now to tune it down to see where it's actually useful for me. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Alright, the 5x5 test file took about 11 minutes 48 seconds to burn. Got 6,118 lines of code, and there it is, burn out there. Let's go on to the next test. Alright, this next test is the 20-watt test file circles, and this is basically 5 different settings of fill and cut, and it's cutting out on that next size up, and we'll see how that runs. Alright, the 20-watt test file with circles took 12 minutes 29 seconds to run, and let's have a look at it. I'm going to change the file a little bit around. Cleaned up my font for my laser rasting there. There's my settings for burning my angles in just a little bit different. Little bit different cut, a little bit different power. And then the etching of the text with a fill on it. And of course this is the cut. I'm going to change it to where it cuts the inner circle out and see how that goes. Alright, 20 watt mark test file with a cut. This is number 2 that cuts out the holes. It took 6 minutes, 6 minutes and 3 seconds to burn. Okay. There we are there on the test on it. I have dialed back some of the burning on the letters from the original file, and there's my cut holes and that, and I could probably dial back some more on the printing of that. So anyway, there it is there. Also said feed rate, how fast is what that says. And then this one here says spindle speed, and that says power in parentheses. So I need to clean those up a little bit. Alright, the 20 watt laser quick for the slower speeds ran 8.5 minutes. Alright, I created a couple of files to help burn in some of these settings with the laser, just to teach me a little bit more about it. In the Vcarve software, they have a laser option, which is the laser cut and fill, and then the laser picture, which you burn photos with. And with these settings, they have different settings that they set up. They've simplified it with the power and the move speed, and of course it has your fill and all that kind of stuff. And this activates the laser module. So a little bit different than the past, where the old ways was just a quick engraving deal, and you adjusted the spindle speed and the pressure. Anyway, so the depth of cut. Anyway, so this is a lot easier to handle, and this card represents the speeds that are found in this program here. So I've made 2 cards. They're basically this is the high end power card. It's got 100%. Down at 20%, and then this is your move speed, 20% to 80 to 100%. And you know, I've got the power, for example, right here. I click on this. This is cutting out these 2 circles here, and this right here, and it's using a power of 100%, and move speed is 5. So you know, that's the trick is getting in between the 2 and coming up with the number that you got in there. Then the text is all at a different speed. It's running at power of 20 and move speed of 100. So it's quite a bit different. The bigger laser has a tendency to overburn if you're not careful. And for the biggest part, this just basically taught me that anything, unless I'm cutting something out in this threshold of 60% above, is way overburn. In fact, all this pretty much is way overburned. Just this one column right here would be good for just etching, that kind of a thing. And then these groups are set up right in here, and I've set them up with the power of 20, and then the speed setting of that. So each one of these correspond with that all the way across the board, and that gives me a pretty good test on that. So I'm going to close that one and open this other one up, which is this one here. And this one I burn a lot more of because it has more of the settings that I'm going to be using. Again, I set the power up for on the borders 100%, move speed of 5. That cuts the holes out and cuts this out. Now I've used this to cut almost through 3/4 inch material, but it all depends on the material. I've cut up some oak, some cedar, maple, hardboard, pine, different things. And I have been able to get, you know, with these settings and the move speed of 5 to actually cut through, it's consistently a 1/2 inch thick board. I could cut a little bit deeper when I run passes in there, and when I run like 3 passes,
through the pine, which is 3/4 inch, I was able to snap off the end of it, and it left about a 1/16 of an inch on there. So it will go down to the 3/4 inch area and go with that. So anyway, you get your different settings in this, and that allows you to customize these fit. And this, what's nice about this card is this corresponds to the quick engrave settings that you'll find in the program. So in the old days, the old ways, a lot of them, they had, they had a whole bunch of different numbers up here, and so that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I mean, it did, but it just anyway. So I wanted to go back with the for the Vcarve and create a card that fits this program. So anyway, that's where I'm at with this now, and I've probably got 16, 20 cards out there now that I've burnt different materials, and each time I kind of proof it and go a little bit different with it. So there we go.
Alright, 8.5 minutes on this card. This is the output of it. This is my first cut, and I darkened the text on it just a hair. I think I went from like a 10 to a 15% burn on the text, and so that was doing pretty good. And between these two here, that's giving me some information that I need to know. My cut parameters. If I want to cut 1/4 inch plywood, I need to slow it down to 5 and the minimum 60 on the cut rate. So when it's cutting through it, that one was starting to cut through it, and over here at the next rate, so the 5 and 10 speed were almost cutting through it, but they might have on a 10, slow enough speed at the higher power, they might have cut out into it up in here. So anyway, that's an assumption I can make there. But anyway, this is working out pretty good. I'm able to come up with an idea, and it makes sense in the Vcarve software. So your power setting and your move speed is in the new tools, and this makes sense. You don't have to do the 2400, 22,000 RPM spindle speed, so makes a lot more sense to me, and I can start piecing this stuff together. I may make another series of cards, saving each one of these into a file, and I may make another set that has another range of settings inside it as well. So we'll see what we do with that. That's not the half of them. If you turn them all over, I've burnt at least once or twice on the back side of all those. And I've got a couple that I know that aren't in here, so they probably went to another trash can or something, or another burn bucket. Anyway, I'm getting it down to a setting, and I am clearing out some of my clutter in my shop from little pieces, that's for sure. And there you go. I have picked up a few more pieces I'm going to try and burn. There's some pieces, something out of an old bed. I can't even define what kind of wood that is. A piece of cherry, a piece of pine, a piece of cedar, a piece of oak, and a piece of plywood, and a piece of hardboard. So I'm going to give those things a try and just kind of let it cook and see what happens. Alright, this latest batch, I'm using a little bit different sequence of power on the settings. 20 to 100%, 20 to 100%, and that. Whenever you hook them up to the sun, you can actually see daylight through a lot of those ones at the top. I don't know if you can see that on the phone, with the phone taking it, but so that the high power ones are cutting out a lot of stuff. They're just not making it through the end. There's a whole lot of little points. I don't know if you'll see them or not, but anyway, there's a whole lot of points where they stopped in the corners. And then if you look in it, they're cut to the top. So my 20-watt laser is a lot more powerful than what I think I need. And then on these top two rows here, they're cut through with the sun coming through. You can kind of see some of that. Bottom two rows are not cut all the way through. So definitely learning that my power settings have got to be down a little bit lower than what I think they are, because I came from a 4-watt or 2-watt laser, and power wasn't really ever a factor. It just basically etched, but this thing will actually cut into your project and make holes. So anyway, that's cutting out there, and you can see the sun there. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm now going through this process of these cards here and trying different materials to see how they burn. I will say the nice thing about having that laser over there cutting them out is I've been able to go into the shop and sharpen dull bits. I've been fixing a few things around here this week on the machines and making them a little bit better, fine-tuning stuff. So nice thing about the CNC is it takes some of that stuff and gets going. See that the bark is cedar bark, that's for firecraft. And fortunately I got all my logs. I do need to make a trip up in the attic and get rid of some of my beach stuff out here. But anyway, there's that. I need to make a router station on my table saw. So maybe I'll get around to doing that here in a little while. It's kind of a nice plane out here. I've got to do a bunch of plaques here before too long, so I need to get busy on that. I need to fix that top hole up there. I got a tubing that came out, so I need to fix my goods thing up there with the plastic and the wooden dowels and stuff. So the vent to the outside box is working good, the gate, and just going to town up there, just sending it all to the outside, so that's good. And we are in first day of February, and it's a nice day out. Okay, a few more tests. This is on some kind of a wood that was in a chest of some kind. I'm not really sure what it was, what kind of wood it is. It's probably a foreign wood because I don't really recognize it. But anyway, it's good. It's hardwood. It's some kind. But you can see right there, my laser didn't go through there in one pass. It went down about 5/8 and then quit. Maybe a 1/2 inch and quit. It's a full 3/4 inch board. Did a nice job engraving. The speeds of 5, went down into the finish a little bit. That's about all they did. And then this was a piece of pine. As you can see, it burnt down, and then I just broke the edge off of it. It was thin enough where I could hit it with a hammer and knock the edge off of it, and that's what was left. But the burn through on that one didn't quite go through there, so it went down 5/8. And I think I went around this twice, as far as around the edge of it. So this is a piece of oak, and I just went around it one time, and it didn't quite burn as far through the oak as it would of the pine, but you know, that still 3/8 of an inch thick oak. And then of course the other two, the ones you've probably seen over right in here with just the plywood, and so that's kind of what I'm burning there now. Got a few more that I'm going to burn up and see what happens.